with Lisa and Christina. And I will be your master of ceremony today to present you the Service Pack 2. Saurabh, can you maybe go to the next slide? As Lisa started to talk with few people, we slightly changed our formula, and if you have the experience of the different release notes in the past, this is basically the same amount of information is here. We just reorganized a little bit the way we are presenting. And in the PowerPoint itself, we used to have first the list of all the user story with a kind of one-line teaser or abstract or something like that, and on a later section, a little bit more information for each user story. As I mentioned, we slightly changed the way to present things, and we will have one dedicated slide per user story. Also, we reorganized like the entire order of a user story, starting by the countries who have the less user story. So if they want to drop off the call afterwards, they can feel free to do that, and they don't have to wait their turn, let's put it that way, for their user story to say. Of course, everyone is welcome to stay until the end. Many of the user story can be rolled out globally, but again, feel free to drop off if your user story has been reviewed already and if you have anything else to do. Before jumping on the first user story, please everyone make sure that you are unmuted if you are not talking. And with no further delay, let's jump into the first user story. Saurabh, if you could go to the next slide, please. All right. First, user story requested by United Kingdom, the UK team, candidate search by borough. This is a very typical behavior from the candidate in the UK to actually look for a job by borough. That wasn't available until now on the platform, and as per SP2, it will be available. It means that on the location of a job search, when typing the name of a borough, it will actually appear on the auto-suggest list, and given the proper configuration in the vacancy XML for the different job, the list of job corresponding to the borough will appear, as well as an additional facet listing the corresponding boroughs. I will let Saurabh switch to the site itself and show you a little bit the live demo. Saurabh, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Good morning, everyone. So my first story is about the borrowed, and in this story, we added a new configuration under the job setting, which is enabling the borrowed search for the particular BU. So once this configuration is enabled under the job setting, we will have borrowed information would be available as part of the auto suggestion. So as this story is requested particularly by UK, I want to show this this search only for the UK right now. And here you can see that all the borrowed information are coming as part of the auto suggestion. So if I'll do the search, I will have the jobs corresponding to the borrowed information, as well as I will have a new facet available for borrowed search. So that's the story we did as part of the service pack 2. Any question?
Yeah, from Prince, just one. This will work still with Barrow in France, or it's only Barrow in UK?
So if borrowed information is available in France, definitely it will work for France also.
Okay, great.
Any
Generally speaking, any country or any which has the borough level will be able to use this functionality. I'm not sure to what exactly you're thinking of, Jimmy, because I'm not sure we have the borough really in France. It kind of depends what you mean. We can take this discussion a bit separately from this demo.
Yeah,
but
sure.
again, this is deployed globally, even if it's UK who was the requester. And if any country is using actually the borough concept, it can be integrated into the job search.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, can I ask one question, please?
Of course.
So the end user, if I type in Camden, it'll automatically show up and display name will be London Borough of Camden, right?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question?
No from me, thanks.
Seems not. So let's jump into the next one. Okay, the next user story is the improvement of the job detailed printed version for Adecco that was requested by Germany. So this will affect all Adecco websites and only the Adecco website. So any other website from any other brand will not be impacted by that. And basically, whenever you want to print a job detail page directly from the browser or from the shared functionality, currently on Prod we have certain display which is not optimal because it's literally taking everything that the candidate can see online. And it was requested to have, let's say, a cleaner version whenever the candidate wants to print the job detail page in order to focus more on the details themselves. So Surab will show you that. Maybe Surab, you could start with an example in Prod just to see or to show how it looks like currently. So the audience will be able to have a better idea of the difference.
So this is the production we have right now, and you can see that the way it's coming is not pretty good. So to fix this, we move on let me move on the UAT environment. So in UAT, I'm on the Germany side, and if I'll go on the job detail page and say print, this is the way now page will appear for Adecco brand. Here it gives all the properties of the job and description of the job and the other information. There would not be any find job control or the footer area which you are looking on the prod will not come here. So it's well formatted text will appear here for the job detail. Any question? Okay.
Okay, let's move to the next one in that case. Another user story requested by the German team related to the job alerts. Whenever we have a job alert and when the candidate is creating a new job alert, we currently have all fields which are mandatory, such as like the frequency, the email address, as well as the first and last name. And the German team requested to be able to have the first and last name as optional because they are not using it in their system. So we implemented this user story, and right now you will have an additional parameter in the configuration where you can mention that you don't want to use the first name and last name. If it's checked, it means that they will no longer be mandatory, as well as not appearing at all in the form on the page itself. So Rob will show you that.
Sure. So here you can see that I'm on the UAT environment and job detail page. So under the job detail page, we have a section job alert, and under the job alert, we have a new section called as a hide first name and last name. So once this is enabled, job detail under the job alert, we will not see the first name and last name option. So let me quickly go through that. So here you can see that first name and last name option is not coming for Germany. If I'll show you the same thing on production, first name and last name is here, but not in the UAT. Any question on this? Okay.
Is requested by the US team. It's about the branch locator. So whenever, oh, did someone had a question? I think I heard someone. No, sorry, I misheard probably. All right, branch locator. So whenever there is a change in the BLU, or whenever there is a synchronization between the different branches and the different system, which is also the case in the USA. What is happening right now is that all the pages have the same properties. Properties as in the one you can see when you actually go to the page, and where you have all the checkboxes, for example, which are saying see in sitemap, or if you have the property, if you remember, which displays what are the robot.txt parameters that you want to apply to this page. So everything was always the same value. All the properties always had the same values, whatever the pages which were in the branch locator. And the US team requested, for SEO purpose, to be able to alter these properties for a given level. The level being either a branch page or a city page. So this functionality is whenever there is a change on during the synchronization or during the change done for a branch in the BLU, to be able to modify the default property of a page in order to improve the search engine optimization. So Rab, if you want to demo?
Yeah, and as Sam mentioned, like the idea here is that as we have so many branch pages as well as so many city pages, it's difficult to manage individual page for the property. Especially like in the USA, there is a sync service happened every night, which sync the backend system with the front with the site core, and as Sitecore has all the default values defined which is not getting overwrite when the sync happens. So to overcome that issue, this story has introduced where when the branch sync happens or any new branch gets created or updated through the BLU tool, if I want to explicitly define any property which should be applied on all the branch pages or the city pages, this get applied. So let me take you through the present configuration. So this property is available for all the business units, and by default there would not be any selection available. The setting is available under the branch detail setting of the branch locator setting, and this setting will uh, empower content manager or the site marketing team to apply the following configuration. Like if I don't want that, I want that my pages of the branches should not be get followed. In that case, I will enable this, and when I save it, whenever a branch sync happen or a new branch created through the BLU tool, it will apply the metadata as no follow for the branch page, which is created under the under the tree. So if I said no follow there, we have a meta field, meta robot field here. So if I'll say no follow, in that case, this value will become no follow when a branch sync happen or a new, branch get updated through the BLU tool. Any question on this? Same configuration we have available for the city pages also. So whenever a city page gets created or updated, the same configuration applied for the city page.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay. Question?
All right. If there are no questions, let's jump to the next user story. The next user story is something which have been both requested by France and Luxembourg related to the JSON LD data. So as you know, we have a certain number of components which are displaying or generating JSON LD data for the different jobs. However, what France and Luxembourg found out is that there is a certain number of mandatory fields which are supposed to be generated by the JSON LD, and not all the mandatory fields were actually generated in this component. So hence the request, and then we implemented and made the change in a way that whatever is displayed in this component as per job details, we always make sure that the JSON LD will provide the minimum mandatory information. So Surab, you can maybe jump directly into that. And so independently from what is actually displayed on screen for the candidate, all the mandatory information for the job will be displayed on the JSON LD. And if the content manager has selected on-screen additional information, additional details, then these additional details will be added to the JSON LD.
So I want to start this demo from production where I opened this Adecco France job, and if I'll copy the header section and go in a tool which get validated the JSON LD. In production, we have few warnings for the date posted, description, and location. Same for the other jobs also, because these fields are mandatory, but it's not coming as part of the job detail. However, if I'll move on the UAT environment and take out any particular job, So here you can see that there is no error is coming, only warnings are there because what we did, it doesn't matter. These fields are selected by marketing team to show on UI or not. It's part of the JSON LD now. So that's the change happened against this story.
Just one question from France. So, what is this to warning?
So these warnings are related to street address. We have a location available, but street address is not available, as well as base salary is not defined here for this particular job.
Okay.
If the information is available for the given job and selected, then they will appear, in any case in the JSON LD. But as they are not part of the minimum mandatory information, this is why you get a warning and not an actual error. So it's just about making sure that if you want all the error of the warning, to disappear, you actually complete also the different details to be shown on screen. But depending on the countries, maybe the salary is not supposed to appear, or depending on the brands and so on. So you keep the flexibility of choosing whatever you want to display on screen in any case.
Okay, sure, thanks.
Any other question? All right, let's jump to the next user story then. Sorry. The next user story and all the following one are requested by friends. So this one is about the management of a go back to results page. Whenever you are doing a search from the website, whatever website you have, and you go through the job result page and then the job detail page, you can see go back to the result page link, which just make you switch from the job details back to the job results page. However, whenever you are opening like the websites directly from an external website or from say your email because you had a job alert email, then in that case you don't have this go back to results page because the system cannot see what is the context of the search because there is no search at all. You just directly open the website in a job detail page. So with this user story, the system will actually recreate some context, some search context, based on the job detail page. Namely, it will use the job title as the keyword and the location of a job as the location field, and therefore there will be the link appearing, and when you click on it, it will just display the result page based on the keyword and location I just mentioned.
So moving on the demo. Yep. So moving on the demo, let me quickly jump on the France side. Okay, so this is France, and I would like to start again from the production. If I'll go in incognito window in production. So there is no go back link available, which is basically specifying what to do. But if I'll go in UAT, let's say for the same job, you can see that I have a go back link available, and if I'll show you, this go back link has a job result URL where the keyword is passed as a title of the job and the location L equal to Garland is passed as the location of the job. So that is the change done in this particular release. I particularly took you in the incognito window because this is the case when any candidate will come from the external site. So that way, like it's a simulation of the same process here.
Saurabh, can you click on the return
Yeah,
back to results?
I already.
Do we get anything? Oh.
So here you can see that I have a one job available for this particular criteria, and my find job control is updated with the keyword and the location which was related to the job which I opened. Any question?
Yes, again, me, sorry. Just to be sure, this case is only available if the page don't have historic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's basically, that's why I took demo from incognito window, because that's the case when the candidate will come from the same system.
And else the standard process would work.
Yeah, exactly, the standard behavior. So if a candidate is doing like any normal search and go through the job search, then the link will be the one which is already existing today.
Okay, great.
Here you can see on the existing job which I already opened for the demo before, you can see that my L, K, and L is empty. Only the province facet which I selected as part of this previous demo is available here.
Okay.
Any other question?
No.
So again, as all over user story presented today, this will be deployed globally, so all countries can benefit from this enhancement. All right, let's jump to the next user story. And dynamical banner also requested by France and also globally deployed. So right now, I don't know how many countries or business units are using it, but you have a possibility to display and to set up a static banner within the list of results that you position where you want in the page. So the problem with that is that this banner is completely static. So if you are looking for, I don't know, a mechanic, but you have a static banner made for chemistry, for example, or whatever, of course, the personalization for the candidate is not great. So France requested to be able to set up a dynamic banner which would be triggered depending on what the candidate types in the keywords. So the way it's working is that in Sitecore, you will be able to define the banner you want to use and associate a certain number of keywords to this particular banner. You can, of course, define several banners, so you end up with a list of banners, and for each banners, a list of terms of or keyword or whatever you want to call that associated to the given banner. And whenever the user, the candidate will do a search and one of the term is matching a term in the list defined, then it will display the corresponding banner in the list of results.
Yeah, so let me quickly take you through the configuration first. So this is the default section for defining the marketing banner, and we introduce a new checkbox called as the enable dynamic banner. Once this checkbox is enabled and dynamic banners are set up under the site data, here dynamic banner folder. This folder would be available while you are creating a new item from the shared data. So this checkbox is enabled and dynamic banners are set up here. So let's, in my scenario, I created two banners here, one for Caristil and other for manutentioner. And idea here is that we will have two sections under each banner item. One is the keywords, which basically going to be which going to be defined by a candidate during the search, and here all the keywords will be separated by a comma, and a banner which will appear on the job result page against the keyword. So if candidate will come and search based on the castle or other word, in that case corresponding banner will appear on job result page for the defined keywords. Otherwise, the default banner, which is defined here as part of the uh, default marketing job HTML content, this will appear by default. So let me take you through both the examples here. So I am right now on the France UAT, and there is no criteria given against the search request. So I have a K as null and a null. So I'm getting a default banner here. But let's say if I'll go and change the my criteria as other word, in that case my banner will change and the other banner will come here in that case. The banner link would be the part of the HTML which is created as a banner item. So let me go and move the go for the other word. Here you can see that the banner is changing. So that is the overall implementation done against Service Pack 2. Any question?
Hi, this is Carmen. So question about the keywords. Do we have to specify like singular, plural, masculine, feminine, or is that like, or will that one word take care of all the different tenses, if you will? And is there different language options? Or do we have to specify all keywords of all languages in this one area?
Okay, so Carmen, basically, when you do the job search, we don't have a key language-specific jobs, because jobs are shared on all the languages. So we are assuming that like when the candidate will do the search, both the English as well as the different language will be the part of the job criteria. Let's say I'm taking an example here. Let's say this particular item in English, let's say I called it as a warehouse manager. So in that case, you need to define. Sorry, there's too much disturbance coming from the other side.
I'm having a little hard time hearing.
Yeah.
Is anybody else having some difficulty?
Yeah, I think Saurabh's cutting off a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Is it good now?
Try a test. Try saying something.
Okay. Is it good now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Carmen, my response was that as the jobs are not shared among the languages, jobs are shared among the languages. In that case, you need to use you need to define all the words available in the jobs in the different languages. So let's say here the one word is manutentionnaire. If the English word is like a warehouse manager or something else, in that case, you need to define that English word also as part of the same banner criteria.
And it's the same for, let's say in French, you are directeur versus directrice. Like one's masculine, one's feminine. You have to define all that as well.
Synonyms, I don't think so. It's work in the current implementation also. If in production, if I'll go and search for a different synonym, it may not work. So even though you define that, banner will show the different banner, but you might not have the jobs available for the synonyms.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So bottom line is that it's better to define all the different terms, I guess, to make sure that it triggers the correct banner between like the masculine and feminine version of the same word. Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, me again. So just to make sure this is case sensible or not lowercase and uppercase, we have to be careful with that.
No, we don't need to be, because it's not a case sensitive.
And for example, so right now here we have a manutentionnaire, and if we have a specialty behind, so for example, this banner is for manutentionnaire, and maybe we create another one for more specific, like manutentionnaire exterior. This is mean we have a complete or not?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
If you want the jobs, we had another word into the job. So here you have only one word for these jobs, and maybe we can add a new word. It's just to make sure if, for example, I have a specification into like night hours into the job titles, it will take this banner or it will take another banner.
So it will do the exact match. In that case, if you have I didn't get the complete scenario.
So this is an exact match.
Yeah. So if I'll give you the other way, like if I am looking for the project manager job, okay, and I have one banner for project manager, another banner is, let's say,
IT project manager or something like that.
Manager or something like that. So it will do the exact match, and it will show the banner where the exact match is happening. But if someone type only manager, in that case, it will not show the banners. It will use the default banner.
Okay, and if sometimes people do a duplicate value, but in a two different banner, it will take which one? The first one?
The first one, yes.
Okay.
So that's why it's actually written on the label, do not duplicate values.
Yeah, I know, but this is not
to avoid, because of course the system cannot know which one is which, and
but this is not in French, and I'm suspect my French colleague just not read this.
Any other questions?
That's from.
All right, let's jump to the next user story. The next user story is about microsites, sorry, requested by France. So France has a special configuration in their website where they do have microsites, which in itself is not really special, but their microsite is actually about business lines which have their own separated jobs. So this is quite unique for France. As far as I know, there isn't any other country or business unit doing that so far. And one of the problems that France experienced is that whenever the root website was displaying a job coming from a microsite, they wanted to provide to the candidate a microsite experience in the sense of providing as much as possible the layout and the look and feel of the microsite, and mainly the navigation item of the microsite. So what is happening right now is that there was a custom implementation done by France to personalize a little bit the header to at least display the microsite and therefore the business line logo. And what we have done for Service Pack 2 is to enhance this experience for the candidate and to be able to actually get the navigation items from the microsites. So Saurabh will show you the different configuration and condition in order to achieve that.
Thanks, sir. So first thing which business has to do here is to enable this configuration so that microsite navigation will appear for root side when the job detail page opens. So under the microsite settings, header settings, there is a new configuration called as a enable microsite header on the root side, and this is a shared value. So once you enable, this will apply for a complete site, and whenever a PME job open, it will show the microsite navigation on the root side. Apart from this configuration, there is one more configuration introduced by us in this particular release. It's related to site name. I'll put more help text here, but the idea here is that as of now, there is a gap coming between the shared jobs versus the microsite job. So we explicitly has to define what is this microsite purpose, and which business unit this microsite belongs to. That's why this site name needs to be defined here. So you want to explain more about this site name?
I think that was pretty self-explanatory. So the configuration that France has right now is that in order to be able to have this management of microsites, we are doing the job sharing, which is not normally at microsite level. So it means that on Sitecore you have a specific node for the business line, which in which are the stream of jobs coming from, and then they are shared in the Adecco French website in our particular case. So as we have separate nodes created for the business line, this node corresponds to the business line and therefore has a name, and the parameter that Surab just showed you allows the system to be able to make the link between the microsites in the root website, which hosts the content of the business line, and the separate Sitecore node of the business line, which is managing the job. So thanks to that, the system makes the link, and whenever a job is called, the system is able to get the job from the separate node, but get the navigation from the microsite itself.
Yep. So moving on the implementation part on the front end side. So if I'll go and do a normal search, let's say if I'll go and do a search without any particular criteria. So if I'm opening a job related to Adecco brand, there is no change in the navigation part. Everything will work same as it is. But let's say if I go a very specific job which is created for a microsite, which is coming as a shared job, and a microsite is also available for that. So in that case, a navigation will change here. And here you can see that logo will come on the left side, which is pointing to the PME microsite, as well as all the navigations related to microsite will come here. Just to confirm that, I will move into the microsite. So here you can see that the same logo, navigation and logo available at the root site of root site if the job is related to a microsite. Any questions?
Yeah, just one. About the logo. So now we can configure the logo into the settings of the microsite?
Yes, you are able to configure logo also. So
okay, great.
Under the header setting, you will have a site logo item available.
Yeah, but before we had it, but well, it's not working.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. Now it's activated for microsite.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? All right, so let's jump to the next one. So you are rewriting. This is something which was very impatiently awaited by our friends. It's done, but unfortunately, we are not able to demo it today. We had a conversation with Surab shortly after, before, sorry, the demo. So what we will do, either we will send an invitation just to demo this particular point, or we will actually make a record of a demo that we will share in any case, as we are already sharing the recording of this demo and the PowerPoint. So this is a little bit of a last second, so apologize for that. We will not be able to demo it right now. Of course, we will arrange either a demo or a recording as soon as possible, and we'll share that, all the details with you. Sorry, Jimmy, and sorry for the French team. But in any case, it's still in the scope of Service Pack 2, and it will still be delivered in UAT and afterwards in prod, and it will be tested by yourself. Be assured of that. It's just that for the particular session of today, unfortunately, we are not able to demo it. We'll keep you in the loop of, and we'll probably discuss with Lisa also what is the best way to organize the next step for this particular user story.
But it will be available for France to start testing though on Tuesday when they're back in the office.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Lisa. It will go in the production also. Only thing is like at the last moment we found few issues. So we are avoiding to show half-cooked thing rather than we'll come back with the complete thing once it's fixed. So that's why we remove this story.
Great, thank you.
So moving on the next one.
Yeah, jumping on the next user story. It's about the publication date versus the modification date of a job and how they are displayed on the job result page. So right now, the way it's working is that whenever you are repushing a job into the system, into Sitecore, what is displayed and the date which is taken into account is the last modification date. And this is why whenever you are repushing a job, it's appearing as new and usually on the top of the list of your job result page. However, France has requested to have the option to use not the last modification date, but the original publication date as date to take into account in the job result. So even if there are jobs which are republished due to modification or any kind of reason, they would no longer appear necessarily as new and on top of the list, but they will be ordered as per their publication date. So Surab will show you that. This is an option. The default behavior is that whenever it will be deployed, it will keep the behavior as of today. This is an option that the content manager will have to activate in order to enable it on the website.
Yeah. So there is a new checkbox available under the job result page, search result page criteria, which is called as publication date. Use the publication date rather than the modification date. So by default, the value would be not selected. So let me just publish it with the actual value. And if I'll go back on the so here we can see that the first job is, let me do one more thing. The first job is OVR, and rest of the jobs coming. So if I'll go back under the setting and say publish, save this, So here you can see that the order has changed now. My different jobs coming on the top now, because these jobs are coming based on the publication date uh, rather than the pushing rather than the updated date, modified date. So here this job is updated 1 day back, this job is updated 25th, this job is like last published on publication date is 12th and 7. So this, the sorting order has changed, and now in application wherever I will see the job, the criteria will be selected as the publication start date rather than the modified date. Any question on this?
Use the sorting option by date. Again, it will take into account the publication date and not the last modified date.
Yeah, exactly.
Any question on this functionality?
Yes. Maybe a stupid one, but just related to the results page, just to know, in the RSS feeds, we will have now update date and the creation date, or we still have only one date into it?
It will have only one date, publication start date.
It will be another SER.
Okay.
Because you want to still have both dates mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
In the RSS.
Yeah, maybe. So this is not requested yet by provider, but maybe yeah. So I will conduct. Yeah.
Yeah. We will see that separately. No problem.
Jimmy, if you raise it, can you raise it as an SER and not an IMC?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that wasn't at all part of the requirements. So indeed, it would be at least for SP2. So it would be better to directly raise it as SER. Okay. Any other question for this user story? All right, let's jump to, I think it's the last user story, search by province, also requested by France. So province is, I mean, as many of you know, is a geographical subdivision. It's like bigger than state, but smaller than the country itself. So far, and if Google Maps recognize the province name on the country you are in, you could actually type in it in the location field, as you can see in the first screenshot, and as Saurabh will probably show you also. However, there was no job related and attached to the province itself. So the implementation of this user story was about making sure that the province names are recognized, and also making sure that the job belonging to the province are also recognized. A little bit similarly to the borough, there will be a new facet for the province, which will be linked to the either state or city, depending on the configuration of the other facets. So Saurabh, up to you to demonstrate that.
Yeah. So let me go back into the Sitecore again. Under the job setting, there is a new checkbox introduced for province, enable province search. This check box will be unchecked by default, and the countries where the province search is available, or the province concept is available, they can enable this checkbox. Once this checkbox is enabled, when I will do a search based on the province, so if I'll go back, and here when I start typing province name, it will come into the auto suggestion, and when I will do the search, a new new facet request will go here. This is called as a province facet, and once I have a job, you can see that the province will come as a selected by default. and related to province, jobs will appear. At the same time, like I can select multiple province from the list, and that way it will work. Any question?
Hi, this is Carmen from Canada. So we have provinces in Canada as well, but I believe they were set up as states, as if they were states in the U.S. So how? I guess my question is, how would there be any conflict? Should we set them? Should we set up our provinces as actual province? Yeah.
So maybe, Carmen, the question is, do you want to use at the same time both the state and the province? Because if you are right now, if you are using like the field states to put the province name, it's working like it is, and maybe there's no particular reason to actually change that. But if you would like to use, or for the candidate to be able to use also the level state, then in that case we should start talking about making the transition on the different job search in order to add both information for the province and the states, if it makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
So whenever a province is selected, of course, if you have a quick look at the cities, only the city for the selected province will appear because they are linked together. And another thing specific to France, we were talking with the marketing team, and they were also mentioning all the additional island and territory outside of France itself, which have a commonly used name in France, which is called dom-tom. It's a bit weird name, but it's an acronym. However, in Google Maps, this is not or administratively also speaking, this is not a province by itself. It's just a name which is grouping several different islands, not even located at the same place in the world and so on. So it means that if you are typing in dom-tom, you will not have any results because this is not an actual province which is recognized. So that's a very specific message for France.
That's else. Just one question on that. But else, if I'm searching Rainier Islands, I will find results.
Yeah, as you have today, or if you search like Guadeloupe or Martinique, you have results today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's just that we could not group all Martinique, Réunion, Mayotte, Guyane under the same province name because this is actually not the case.
Yeah, logical, yeah.
All right. Any other questions for the search by province? No? Okay, so that was it for the functional user story. So we had 11, we were able to demo 10 of them, and again we will follow up with the last one to demo. And then we had a certain number of tech user stories. Saurabh, did you plan to have a quick word for the tech user stories?
Sure. So just want to give you a brief idea what we develop against the tech story. One is the first one is the publishing target. So now when you will go for publishing, you may not get a chance to see or select all the check boxes related to the publishing target. As sites are set up in specific databases, we want to restrict the publishing in the same way. So that's why if France site or US site has a database, a dedicated database in the server, at the server, then only that publishing target will come as a selected one. Rest would be disabled for you. So that way, when we do the publishing, rest of heavy operations happen on the other databases which were not needed will stop now. The second story is the branch sync notification. So this story is specifically we developed for Adecco USA, where like Adecco USA has an info bank system from which we are retrieving the branches on the daily basis. So there is a sync service going on in the night, and we would like to keep a notification message whenever the sync happen. This is just like for the tracking purpose to make sure that the backend service runs on time. The third story is about Sitecore packages. So when the deployment happens, we had two big packages. Because of that, like the deployment time was so high, so we break all these packages into the small chunks so that the deployment would be fast, as well as we will deploy only the required changes in production. There are a few INCs also that we want to quickly go through these.
Yeah. Well, it's we have like 2, 4, 6. We have 7 incidents that we fixed, 7 bugs that we fixed that we have included into the service pack. I will just list them actually and not really go into the details. So there was the ability to save more than 10 jobs from the result page, the GMB settings which are removed after release, the error message displayed in the footer instead of a branch locator search bar when user clicks enter. The last month date facet count is changing after selecting last week on job result page. Enable to reset facet for city integrated with 2 words. Another one related to the full import of Solar, the handling of exceptional scenario to ingest jobs in Solar using the index date column, and the last one on the BLU, the sync branch contact. So all of them were raised previously and have been fixed and will be part of the service pack. All right, that was it. Do you have any remark or any questions?
I have a question.
You have a question, please go ahead.
So Carmen in Canada had wanted something that was part of the service pack too, and Saraba believed that the ticket that she opened was going to be run as one of the INCs, and I'm not sure which one that is, the bug fixes.
Yeah, so that's related to the thank you page, and that is already done. That is already fixed yesterday. I didn't put because that's still in the testing. So, but yeah, definitely that change would be the part of the service pack too.
But it's part of the what change? Sorry, I didn't understand that.
So that is already in testing, that change, and it's related to the thank you page of the job of the apply portal.
Okay, so it means that we will update this list in order to...
Yeah, we will add one.
In order to include this incident also.
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks, because I knew Carmen would be concerned.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
No, actually, yeah. But do we
Is it a yes or nope?
It's a nope, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for attending this call, this kind of new way of presenting. I hope you liked it. We booked 2 hours, but we made it in much less time, which is always a good news, hopefully. As usual, both the presentation and the slide and the recording will be shared on the online documentation websites. And as mentioned previously, for the URL rewriting user story that we could not demo today, we will follow up with either another meeting, or we will directly share the recording of functionality. We will see, but we will keep you in the loop in any case. Thanks again for attending. I wish you a nice rest of the day. And if you have any question, feel free to get in touch with your usual point of contact, being Christina, Lisa, or even myself. Have a very nice rest of the day, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.